স্বাধীন প্ৰতিদিন গোষ্ঠীৰ দ্য কনক্লেভ ২০২৪ৰ প্ৰথম দিনৰ আলোচনা সত্ৰত বিশদভাৱে আলোচনা সংঘাত জৰ্জৰ মণিপুৰৰ প্ৰসংগ। দ্য কনক্লেভ ২০২৪ত অংশগ্ৰহণ ইনাৰ মণিপুৰৰ সাংসদ বিমল আকইজামৰ। প্ৰতিদিন টাইমৰ কাৰ্যবাহী সম্পাদক সুনীত কুমাৰ ভূঞাই আধৰা এই আলোচনা সত্ৰৰ আৰম্ভণিতে প্ৰাৰ্থনা মণিপুৰৰ শান্তিৰ বাবে। মণিপুৰত সাংবিধানিক পৰিগাঁথনি বিঘ্নিত হৈছে। সাংবিধানিক ব্যৱস্থা বিঘ্নিত হোৱাৰ বাবে দায়ী কেন্দ্ৰীয় চৰকাৰ। দ্য কনক্লেভৰ মজিয়াত গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ মন্তব্য সাংসদ বিমল আকইজামৰ।
The federal structure can be eroded. Way back in the Constituent Assembly, Ambedkar said about this law and order as a domain of the state. He calls it as a sovereign plenary power or authority of the state, which has been completely eroded. That is something that has been done. And then Amit Shah said on the floor of the House that CM is cooperating. And on the other side of the coin, the CM says, whatever I am doing is with the consent, within quote, consent and advice of Modi ji and Amit Shah ji. So it's a peculiar way in which the constitutional structure of the federal polity has been subverted. This is aiding to the example of the lawlessness. So when you think about fixing responsibility, I hold the government of India as majorly responsible for this, but by saying this, I don't absolve of the local satraps like our chief ministers, and it should be fixed responsibility, but I think I still hold that it is the government of India which should be blamed, which should take the major responsibility for this crisis.
লগতে সাংসদগৰাকীয়ে ব্যাখ্যা কৰিলে দেশৰ অন্য প্ৰান্ততকৈ উত্তৰ পূৰ্বাঞ্চল সদায় পৃথক কিয়।
Northeast India is seen through a kind of a schizophrenic lens. We are a Republican democratic space as part of this country. At the same time, it is also a militaristic space. Remember that Okinawa was not directly run by the United States State Department. Till 1972, it was under Pentagon. So the Defense Ministry and Army has a lot to do in the Northeast. So we are not as rest of the country. I think that complication has revealed in this crisis as well.
ইয়াৰ সমান্তৰালকৈ মণিপুৰক লৈ এক বিতৰ্কিত মন্তব্য কৰিছিল ভাৰতীয় সেনাপ্ৰধানগৰাকীয়ে। সেই সন্দৰ্ভতো নিজৰ মতামত প্ৰকাশ আকইজামৰ। জেনেৰেল উপেন্দ্ৰ দ্বিবেদীৰ ভূমিকাত অসন্তুষ্ট সাংসদগৰাকী।
Retire particularly, and I hope that General Dwivedi did not give that kind of a interview. They should keep away themselves as far as possible. But during this regime, Modi regime, we saw that Indian Army chiefs started speaking, which is not quite expected in a democracy where the military chiefs should not be making politically controversial or politically sensitive issues. That's my belief, and he said about is a battle of narratives. Unfortunately, the armed forces have become part of that.
ইমানেই নহয়, সংঘাত জৰ্জৰ মণিপুৰৰ প্ৰসংগক লৈ ৰাজনৈতিক নেতা দল আৰু সাংবাদিকৰ ভূমিকাক লৈও কনক্লেভৰ মজিয়াত মত প্ৰকাশ কৰিলে ইনাৰ মণিপুৰৰ সাংসদগৰাকীয়ে।
When you do not assert that power and you allow people to roam around with arms like this, it's like a civil war. It's a failed state. And that's why I call it a Hobbesian war. Manipur has been like this since 23rd. And the state has abdicated its responsibility. And we think we are a great country with 5th largest economy and 4th most powerful military in the world and stuff like that. We're a democracy. And I'm sorry to say that within quote, the national media has done a terrible job. I have done a study on this, which is based on media studies, theories and methods. It's available, by the way, online, and the book form is coming out again. It's against all the norms of your Press Council of India's standard. It is worked against it. So in fact, Manipur is a reminder that all of us as citizens of this country, as professional media men, as security agencies, not only politicians, all of us have failed. We have failed terribly. And that is something that we must accept. Everywhere you cannot have this kind of a situation in a constitutional democracy like this.
ইয়াৰ সমান্তৰালকৈ মণিপুৰৰ দুই জনগোষ্ঠীৰ সংঘাতৰ অন্তৰালত থকা ৰাজনৈতিক অভিসন্ধিৰ কথাও উল্লেখ কৰিলে আলোচনাত চাণক্যৰ উদ্ধৃতিৰে ক'লে এয়া বিজেপিৰ ৰণকৌশল নিজৰ স্বাৰ্থ সিদ্ধিৰ বাবে
Sometimes I believe as Chanakya once said, like if you can't convince people, make them confused. So I get a feeling that the government of India is trying to do is to confuse the people of Manipur so that they can achieve 2-3 strategic and political, goals they have set up through this violence. And I think that is why it is an excuse that, not killing. If you have cracked down, even if you have killed it 200, 300, life would have been normal by now if you assert it. So I'm giving you 2 simple examples. If the Prime Minister says all our security forces, if the loss of life, if anything happened in and around your area of operations, you will be taken to task. Do you think that these army units would have not reacted?
উল্লেখ্য স্বাধীন প্ৰতিদিন গোষ্ঠীৰ দ্য কনক্লেভৰ মজিয়াত সাংসদগৰাকীয়ে উত্থাপন কৰিলে উত্তৰ পূৰ্বাঞ্চলৰ আঞ্চলিক দলৰ প্ৰসংগ কিন্তু অতি আক্ষেপেৰে বিমল আকৈজামে উল্লেখ কৰিলে নেডাই গ্ৰাস কৰিছে সকলো আঞ্চলিক দলক
I'm sure, it might be a little uneasy for if any friends here who is supporter of BJP and so on. I think BJP has a unique track of associating with regional party and eating them up, gobbling them up. So I think NEDA is that experiment they have done in the Northeast, just saying this about. You associate with them and slowly you eat their base and their legitimacy. So Northeast has a lot of this regional aspiration. In your state, AGP for me, it's I'm sorry to say, what happens, the convergence between Hindu rights and Ahomia nationalism.
লগতে প্ৰায় 30 বছৰীয়া শিক্ষকতা জীৱন এৰি শেহতীয়াকৈ ৰাজনীতিৰ পথাৰত খোজ দিয়া বিমল আকৈজামে ক'লে কিয় ৰাজনীতিলৈ আহিল তেওঁ উল্লেখ কৰিলে বিমল আকৈজামে কিয় বাছি ল'লে কংগ্ৰেছক
Why Congress? I celebrate diversity. I love diversity. This country is beautiful precisely because of the diverse cultures. I have taught students from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, from Gujarat to Nagaland. It's a wonderful country, so I don't want to flatten it. I get a feeling that one nation, one takes, one examination, one this, one that. I think that kind of a flattening Congress is opposite to that one, is diversity. And I was enticed by Rahulji's statement that India is a union of state. And I truly believe that we come together. That's what I wrote to Amit Shahji as well. It is the coming together of various people, various political formation state constituted this country. You should not flatten it. That's why I choose Congress
party.
মণিপুৰ দিল্লীৰ পৰা বহুদূৰ নেকি এই আলোচনাত সাংসদগৰাকীয়ে এটাকৈ উপস্থাপন কৰিলে মণিপুৰবাসীৰ সমস্যা ক্ষোভ দাবী আৰু আশা ব্যুৰো ৰিপৰ্ট প্ৰতিদিন টাইম